Alright, welcome back to my channel, guys. It's been a while because there just really hasn't been a lot of new stuff to talk about. But now with the new developers, a new set coming, we finally got some new stuff to talk about. And those new things are some really awesome cards coming to the next set. So, yeah, I'm going to be doing what I think are going to be the top 10 cards to chase in the set. And let me tell you, this was actually really difficult to pare down to just 10 because there are actually a really good amount of good cards in the set. And um, there are plenty that didn't make the cut just because I felt like they weren't quite universal enough to really uh, be useful in a lot of decks. So I tried to stay with ones that I think are going to be basically either meta changing or meta defining. So let's get into it. We'll go with the first one. Beseech the Mirror. This has the new bargain mechanic on it. And pick one of the first four cards from your library. Fetch that card. It gains half its mana. Bargain, instead, that card gains full mana. So bargain, you basically sacrifice a support, I believe at random on the board in order to trigger this effect. So basically, at minimum, it's a pretty solid fetch card. So it's basically giving black another way to get a mana advantage in your hand. And so, depending on what you're willing to pay for it, you could either get half its mana or full mana, so you get a free card out of it, paying 13 mana for it. So at worst, it's a pretty good fetch card. So I think that's why this will be a really good chase card. I could see you pairing this with like Capricious Hellraiser or something like that. So yeah, looking forward to getting this one. Next, we got Moonshaker Cavalry, 18 mana card, 6/6 with flying. When this creature enters the battlefield, reinforce each creature you control one time. Your creatures get +X/+X and gain flying. X is the number of creatures you control, including their reinforcement. So, um, I like the versatility of this creature because it slots well into any type of creature deck you use. If you're using tokens, it gives you an advantage by giving them +X/+X and flying based on their reinforcements. And even if you're just using big creatures, you reinforce them every time this creature enters the battlefield. So pretty much if you pair this with something like Against All Odds, Eternal Wanderer, Elish Norn, a couple other cards that let you blink a creature, which is basically exile and then return back to the battlefield. So yeah, this will be an easy way to really pump up your creatures. I think this might be my favorite card of a few in this set that have similar effects. So I'm guessing this one's going to be an exclusive. I don't have any extra intel on that. That's just my own speculation. So we'll see. But I like this card a lot. Next, we got Gom Master Chef. Troll Warlock, green and black, has trample. It's actually a pretty decent body. It's a 5/3 for 10 mana, trample, legendary. When a creature enters the battlefield under your control, create 2 food tokens. When a player matches a food supports gem, a random creature you control without prevent damage gains prevent damage and reach until end of turn. So, yeah, I think that's really easily abusable. So whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, create 2 food tokens. So any decent token generator you're just going to be flooding the board with your own food tokens. So it's going to be like Gnawbone Light, I want to say. So anything also, I believe if either a player destroys a food token, it gives the owner of that token mana, or not mana, life back. I believe that's how food tokens work. It's been a while since I really played with them. So that's already a great way to gain life back. But this guy, um, well, okay, so it's a random creature you control. But still, if you're flooding the board with food tokens, you're probably going to give all your creatures reach and prevent damage a lot of the time anyway. So giving them prevent damage and reach. So basically, they're an unkillable wall that you can't easily get past. So that's awesome. So basically, you're preventing planeswalker damage from creatures at on that turn. So yeah, I think that's really cool, really cheap creature for such a massive effect for it. So I think this is going to be one of my favorite creatures from the next set. Thunderous debut. Um, what number are we at? Okay, so this is my number 7 in my ranking. Um, Pick one of the first 4 creature cards from your play, move that card into play under your control, and then bargain. Basically, repeat that effect. So this is. I always really liked cards like Vivian's Invocation, um, Turn Timber Symbiosis, any of those spells that basically cheat a creature into play. I've been a really big fan of. I've always liked to play with those cards, so I'm glad that a card like that is coming back to standard. And so something like the card Yom that we just saw before is going to be creating so many food tokens, so it's really going to be easy to trigger bargain with Guillaume out. So this will be a great way um, with those 2 cards to get 2 creatures out for the price of 16 mana. So looking forward to that. Yeah, and again, my guy Capricious Hellraiser gonna be able to get something like that out. I think that you might be able to create a nice little loop with those 3 cards. So this will be a fun combo piece for sure. Number 6, Virtue of Strength. So this is an adventure card. It's got the little icon there. So I forget which one is the corresponding creature spell to go with this, but I'm really just interested in this part of the card anyway. So it's an enchantment, 3 shields, 16 mana. At the beginning of your turn, increase your mana bonuses by 3 until end of turn. So that's already really cool. Um, my Even though it's a green card, I think that you can put this into dual color and tricolor walkers, especially tricolor walkers. You put this in with Brocan, and all of a sudden you have uh, all of a sudden you're getting 9 mana on his on color matches, and then you're getting, I believe it will be 4 mana on off color matches. Does he get is he 0 across the board, or is he -1? Yeah, I'll have to just go and see if that's true. But either way, so that's already awesome. But also, what I love about this card is putting it into colorless Planeswalker decks. Imagine having this in Karn 1 and already pumping your mana bonuses as much as you can with this first ability. So you have, you know, 10 mana across the board. And then you add this on top of it. So you're getting 13 mana on every match. That's insane. That is gonna be amazing, and I cannot wait to play with this card. Next we got number 5. Again, Arcanum Weaver. Support card, Human Wizard, 11 mana masterpiece, 4 shields, and it's legendary, so Joda can grab it for you. So let's see. It's a Human Wizard support card. When this support enters the board, create a Vigilant White Knight token. Target creature you control gains Wicked Roll. So that's already cool. We'll get into Wicked Roll in a bit. When you match an enchantment supports gem you control, this support loses 2 shields. Pick 2 of the first 4 enchantment cards from your graveyard, move those cards to your hand. Those cards gain full mana. When an enchantment support you control is destroyed, create a white Vigilant Knight token. This effect can trigger only once per turn. Okay, so let's go through this one by one. When the support enters the board, create a white Vigilant Knight token. That's probably just okay, but it's always nice to have a way to create another creature on the board if you're playing creatureless or whatever, or maybe you're playing against a opponent with heavy removal, whatever. But target creature you control gains Wicked Roll, and I believe Wicked is the new roll where you get +1 for each of a creature's reinforcements. So that's going to be good in a token deck, and you're creating tokens with this support too. So that's kind of nice. You're going to want to pair this with blue PMA because time bubbles are enchantment supports. And so when you match an enchantment support's gem, you control this support, or that support loses 2 shield. So if it's a time bubble, you want to break it anyway, for the most part. Especially if you have ambiguity out on the board. So that's going to be creating new deny gems, and it's going to be making more enchantment supports for you when those get destroyed. So a lot of synergy there. And then on top of that, if you have enchantment cards in your graveyard, you're going to be able to put them back into your hand and give them full mana. So you're getting 2 free enchantments from your graveyard. And if we're talking blue PMA, you got some nasty enchantment supports there. You got ambiguity, you got time warp, paradox haze. I'm sure there are others, but those are the ones I mostly play with. Yeah, this is 3 colors, so you can get it out easily with Meeting of the 5. That's already good. And then you can pair this with cards that destroy your own library. You got like Breach of the Multiverse, Angel of Suffering. It's black, so you got that going on. I think this will go really well with the Ashiok Planeswalkers, both of them, and then we're getting a third one that I don't know if that one does much library destruction, but I'll have to reread it. Anyway, and then also, this is really cool. It brings back cards that you sacrificed to bargain. Say you destroyed one of your own supports by triggering a bargain effect. This will help you bring those back to your hand. So, and then when an enchantment support you control is destroyed, create a white vigilant. So yeah, you get an extra little bonus effect for doing that. So this is going to be a really cool combo piece. These are those really Johnny type cards that I really like to play around with. So yeah, this is probably not going to be a Steve card, but it will be a main loop card. All right, number 4, Shatter Gang Brothers. Okay, so this is a masterpiece, 13 mana, 3/3 legendary with bargain. So not a very powerful card in terms of dealing combat damage, but Let's check it out. Bargain. Create 2 food tokens. Destroy 10 gems of your opponent's planeswalker's color. When a card you control is destroyed during your turn, destroy an opposing card at random. So, let's really dive into that. So, bargain, you're destroying a token and then just creating. Well, if you're using like food tokens, like with the uh, Guillaume that we looked at before, um, you basically just replace them with 2 more food tokens. But if you destroy 10 gems of your opponent's planeswalker color, if you're pairing this with Guillaume, you're likely destroying a bunch of food tokens of your own as well. So, a food token is a card you control, right? So when a card you control is destroyed during your turn, destroy an opposing card at random. So if your side of the board is full of time bubbles, food tokens, like I just said, um, any sort of token support, incubator tokens, stuff like that. Um, you're basically just going to be wiping your opponent's side of the board clear when you're destroying 10 gems off the board. So um, even if you don't trigger his bargain, if you pair this with a card that's going to be destroying gems, like if you pair this with like Volcanic Rambler, for example, imagine destroying a bunch of food tokens and just completely wiping your opponent's side of the board. This is going to be ruinous ultimatum level craziness. I believe that's my prediction with this. Um, yeah, we'll see if this card is as good as I think. I'm predicting it's going to be massively annoying to play against. Oh, and by the way, it's also 3 colors, so Meaning of the Five can fetch it too. So, great defensive card, I think. We got number 3, Blossoming Tortoise. Um, Creature is a turtle. It's a 3/3 for 11 mana, which isn't great, but let's look at what it actually does. When this creature enters the battlefield or attacks, destroy the top 4 cards of your library. So if we're dealing with cards that benefit from destroying your library, that's good. Then return the last creature or support land from your graveyard to play under your control. So it's basically a 1 card combo right there. At the beginning of your turn, convert X gems to green. X is 2 times the number of land cards you control, including their reinforcements. When a land creature enters the battlefield under your control is reinforced, it gets +1/+1. So that's really the only part of it that we don't really care about that much. It's kind of like a Cultivator Colossus type of effect happening there. So you can pump this guy up a decent amount, I guess, but really what we're looking at are the other 2 paragraphs. So, easy way to destroy a lot of your library, sending tons of cards to your graveyard. If you're blinking this creature with against all odds or whatever, you're destroying massive amounts. And then at the same time, you're returning a bunch of stuff from your graveyard. You're cheating it into play really easily. Pair this with like Atraxa or something like that. Having this and Atraxa in your deck and other things with great ETB effects, you're just going to be, I feel like, perpetually destroying your graveyard and bringing things out of your graveyard with it. So that's going to be nuts. I mean, that's for 11 mana. If you have your other combo pieces set up, this is just going to be just looping and doing all sorts of craziness with that. So, on top of that, you also get some green gem conversion if you're putting lands into your deck too. So if you're putting the lands from Mid and Vow into play, that's going to be filling up your hand with mana. If you're putting green PMA, you're going to just be creating tons of elementals, I'm sure. And then the Urza lands, we got that going on. Grabbing Urza Saga back from the graveyard into play. All of those masterpiece Urza lands too. So many good things can happen with this card. I think that this is probably going to be the top of the chase list for many people who play this game. But yeah, it's number 3 for me, and it's a hell of a card. This would be the number 1 chase card in so many other sets, but we still got 2 more to look at. Splashy Spellcaster. 11 mana, 2/4. This is the only rare card that made the cut. It's a creature, elemental wizard, 2/4. When you cast a spell card, target creature you control gains sorcerer roll. I don't remember what sorcerer roll is. I'll have to look at that again, but this card's so good I don't even really care. Fetch the first non-creature card from your library and convert 2 gems to blue, as if blue needed more help converting gems. So, yeah, this is Raw's best friend already. Cast a spell card, but really any blue spell slinger deck, you're gonna want this card because we already got Cut Your Losses in standard. And so pairing this with something like Cut Your Losses, converting 10 gems to blue, and then on top of that, an extra 2. So this is just going to let spell loops. This is going to bring spell loops back into the game in a major way, I think. This is like almost the return of Wizard class in a way. This is going to be great in Legacy where you can use Wizard class. It's just going to make all of those spell loop decks that are already really dangerous with Raw, even that much more dangerous. This is just for the types of decks that I like to build with Raw and a lot of blue decks. This is just going to be a staple card. I wonder if they're going to let this stay as is, because if you know how to build a spell deck, like a spell slinger type of deck, this is not going to be hard to abuse. Like just cheap spells, like even Artificer's Epiphany, something that costs like 3 mana to draw a card. It's a spell. Like just cheap spells are gonna be the engine to keep this guy running. And yeah, this is gonna be wacky. People are not gonna like playing against this card. They're gonna love playing with it, but they're not gonna love playing against it. But it's a rare, so the weirdness about this game is that rare cards tend to be some of the hardest ones to pull, because they're not easily accessible, even with jewel, um, even by spending jewels. So I bet you this is going to be like the last rare I need from this set, just knowing how things go for me. But I cannot wait to abuse this card hard. So, next card, I believe, is the last one on my list, which is Sarah's Sanctum. 9 mana, legendary masterpiece land, 4 shields. At the beginning of your turn, convert X gems to white. X is 2 plus the number of enchantment cards you control, including their reinforcements. If you don't control an enchantment card, target creature you control gains royal roll. When an enchantment card enters play under your control, this support gains 1 shield. So let's break it down and why I think this is such a good card. I'll talk about what the royal roll is. It's a token that at the beginning of your opponent's turn, they may drain X mana from their hand. X is the number of creatures you control with royal roll times 4. Basically, if you have 3 creatures, so that will drain 12 mana from their hand. If they don't, your creatures with royal roll gain hexproof and vigilance until end of turn. That's pretty good, right? That's not bad. At the end of each turn, if you control no creatures with royal role, destroy this support. When the support is destroyed, all creatures you control. Okay, so that's, I think, how all the roles work. So yeah, that's pretty cool. If you don't control enchantment card, this card is still useful. However, if you do control enchantment cards, I think that this is going to be an auto include into a Johnny Invigorate leadership because if you just spam the board with enlist gems and you have this out on the board, you're just going to be converting massive amounts of gems to white. And if you put this into decks that also like blue PMA again, that's going to be creating a bunch of enchantments as well. So you're just going to be creating tons of white mana. So that's going to be great in blue white planeswalkers. So, when an enchantment card enters play under your control, this support gaining a shield. So, if you're playing with blue PMA, this is going to be pumping this up with tons of shield. So it's not going to be very vulnerable to normal, like just in the course of creating all those white gems. That tends to break lands a lot, just your own gem conversion. So that also helps with that. Um, so yeah, I think that the reason this card is going to be the number one chase card is because it's really not going to be very hard to get a lot of enchantment cards on the battlefield. This is colorless, so it can go into any deck. And I think that any planeswalker that has positive mana bonuses on white will benefit from this. This is going to be like a white cut your losses that you can trigger like almost every turn. This is going to be like remember how dominant Storm the Vault was when it was in Standard? I mean, it's still a good enough card that you see it in Legacy um, to this day. Even though it's a masterpiece, so you won't see it as much as Storm the Vault. It's going to be, I believe, as powerful as Storm the Vault because it triggers in a similar way. It's not any support; it has to be enchantment supports on the battlefield. But if you build for this card, you're just going to be getting tons of white mana conversion. It's going to be like Erixmethus, like one of those cards that's just going to be great mana conversion. This is, I think, the best land to come into Standard in a really long time. Probably not since Urza Saga has there been a land card with such utility. So that is why this is going to be, I believe, the number one chase card of the set. And I am glad that I have so many jewels stashed away that I can really chase after this card and many of the other ones. So, yeah, what do you guys think? What did I miss? And tell me which cards you think are going to be chase cards that I did not put into my top 10 so I can argue with you about it and tell you why you were wrong. Just kidding. All right, so the set should be out this week, I believe, barring any unforeseen delays. So we are looking forward to it. Thanks, Webcore, for letting us all in on the fun that's about to happen. And we are all looking forward to a badly needed breath of fresh air into this game. So see you guys on Discord and in the game. All right. Till next time.